What up, YouTube? This is take 3. Bitch can't get her shit together today. I promise it's the altitude. I am in Denver, Colorado. My nose is bleeding. My voice is cracked. My brain is foggy. Like, it's so fucking gorgeous here. And I came up from Northern California and I got to take 70 East. The GoPro footage is on point. I got some amazing footage coming up here. But the altitude is fucking killing me. I normally just go into the mountainous areas and then I keep moving. But this load I can't pick up until 5 in the morning. So I had to spend the night here, and I spent the night in Utah the night before. So my nose is like, it feels like it's this big. But we're gonna get through it. So I made a list. And I've always been like writing down on little pieces of paper all around the truck different questions and videos that y'all request of topics that y'all want me to talk about. Well, today I finally put them on one big list, and until I get done with that thing, I'm going to start making videos based off of that list. I'll still keep you up to date on my bullshit and whether I have a good, bad, or ugly day, and just events that happen. Because that is the premise of this channel, is just to really talk about what I go through being a female, coming from the beauty industry into the trucking industry, and what I go through day to day. So the question that gets asked the most, it gets asked two different ways. One way is, how does one go about balancing truck driving and family life? And the other way that it gets asked is, what does one do? How does one, being a truck driver, cope with being away from home? Now, this is a really, really sensitive subject for some people. I obviously can't deliver anything sensitively, so I'm just gonna bear it all. So take from it what you will. But the reason, let's back up just a little. This is a very important question, and it's one that I still watch trucking channels because, one, some of them are really funny, and two, I answered this question earlier in the comments of my previous video. You know, you really have to be careful. I mean, even watching me, I'm just giving you opinions and I'm just giving you my experiences. You're not going to come across a lot of YouTube truck drivers that, what they're telling you is 100% accurate, because the fact of the matter is, and what a lot of them are not going to tell you, is nobody knows 100% an answer to anything about this industry. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You can have one problem. How do you back into, XYZ parking spaces? You can have 2 truck drivers and you're going to get probably 4 or 5 different answers just from those 2 people. You find what works for you. Now, what pisses me off when I say don't believe the hype, what I mean is there are some very popular YouTube truck drivers that are really selling vulnerable people. And when I say vulnerable, I don't mean that you're gullible. I mean that you're at a place in your life where you've tried everything else, or maybe you really want to do this, but you're scared of something or whatever. When I say that they're preying on vulnerable people, they're selling this vision of truck driving as being easy, as being glamorous, as being scary. Each one of them has their own niche. And it pisses me off that, I watch these videos. I watched the videos before I came out here, but I came from a family of truck drivers, so I knew, well, this person's full of shit, and unless things have changed, that's absolutely fucking bogus, or hey, that's spot on, this person's really on to something. When I say don't believe the hype, what I'm saying is be careful who you're watching and how much you're really taking away from them. there are a lot of these truck drivers, and now I'm going to say that there are a lot of vulnerable viewers that are being gullible and falling for the stories that these people are telling you. And all they really want you to do is sign up with X, Y, and Z company because they're making thousands of dollars off of that shit. There's a handful of them that are with all different types of companies in the trucking business that will, you know, sell you on hopes and dreams, and then you get out here, you're either sitting on the side of the road or you're wrecked out, or, you know, whatever the case may be, and it's not what they told you it was going to be whatsoever. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're watching people on YouTube to make a life-altering decision. This is what, you know, this is how far we've come with social media and technology. So be careful. Some people are really just showing that they're really just in it for the money. And if you're not hip to that, or you don't catch on to that, then you can easily be sucked in because you're just in a hurry for an answer and a solution to a problem. Let me put it very simple. If you are already struggling financially, getting into trucking is probably not going to work out for you. Only because this is an expensive lifestyle. And I'm going to get back to the family bit in a minute, but it kind of went this way. So, you know, ADHD. And this is really important to cover as well. Being a truck driver, yes, the potential to make money is here. There's freight all over the fucking place. And every company has different contracts with different people. And, you know, there's ups and downs and pros and cons with any company you're going to go with. But living in your truck is not cheap. It costs money to be out here. And most schools that you go to, if you go to a school like Swift, you're not going to get paid while you're getting your CDL. So, yes, they put you in a hotel. They offer you this. So, real quick, when you go to the academy with Swift, you leave before the normal people staying in the hotel get up. So you don't have access to the hot breakfast that they serve the people in the hotel. What they serve you is like little bitty muffins and biscuits and shit, like little bitty finger dessert food that, you know, it's bread, it's going to expand in your stomach and it'll make you feel full. And then by the time you get to school, you're starving. That is all they serve you. And don't let them catch you sneaking their breakfast on the weekend when you don't have class, because they will throw you out of the hotel. I watched it be done. Now, you could pay $6 a day and have access to that breakfast, but you'd be wasting your money because you have to be at the school at 5:30. They don't start serving breakfast in the hotels until 6:30. Some of them not even until 7. Food is a necessity to sustain life. Swift does not feed you. The hotel does not feed you. You really have to figure that stuff out before you come to the academy. The academy, you're going to be sharing a room with somebody. It's a regular hotel room with 2 beds, and you share a mini fridge and a microwave. And then, of course, you share the space that you're going to store whatever food you're going to buy, or if you're just going to eat out every day. Like, you figure it out. But even when you're on the road, I cook on the truck most of the time. But sometimes I'm just fucking tired and I just go in there and buy food or whatever. Or usually, if I'm going to buy something, it's usually during the day and then I cook dinner. And it's because I'm driving 11 hours. So on my break, I'll run in, grab a snack real quick or grab something from my fridge. You're just going to run into shit that you have to buy. It is not cheap to live out. I mean, you got to think about this. This cube right here is my job, but it's also my home. Just like you'd need to buy stuff for your house, you live in this truck, so you got to buy stuff out here. And the fact of the matter is, there is cheap ways to do it, but at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck what anyone tries to sell you. It costs money to be out here. In the beginning, you're not going to have a shitload of points at the different truck stops, and those points go away every month. Every month your card starts over. So you have to pay for your showers. Now, I've been telling y'all, this reserved parking business, it's becoming like a mandatory thing. Like I've seen parking lots that have like only 5 non-reserved parkings. So they found a cash cow, and it's called parking. Swift will reimburse you for the parking on Friday when you get paid, not every night. So more than likely, if you're just getting into this industry, that's $15 a day that you're going to pay in parking. Showers are anywhere from 10 to, I think the most I've ever had to pay was $12. Depends on where you're at. And, if, you want to shower as often as you feel that you need to, that shit adds up. And just coming off of the Mentor's truck, you don't have points. And Swift sends you wherever the fuel is the cheapest. So you're going to have random points at all these different places. You don't get to choose where you put fuel, and that goes for most of the big companies. They're the ones paying for your fuel, so they're going to send you where the fuel is cheapest. So like right now, I have points all over the place. There's some places where I don't have free showers. There's some places where I do. Sometimes that helps determine where I'm going to park, but I've been out here for months and I still have to pay for showers, because sometimes Swift just sends you to the terminal to get fuel, but you're not necessarily staying there. It's in passing. So the free showers, it's cool when you have them. You're not going to have them all the time. Parking is a part of our job. It's a bitch, not the physical act of doing it, but finding parking. And for the most part, I mean, I'll drive around once and look for an empty parking, but for the most part, it's just easiest if I get to a parking where I'm going to park at a truck stop really late. I just go ahead of time and just reserve it. That way I know that my spot is saved whenever I get there, and fuck everybody else and all their bullshit. And if I didn't have a husband at home that made money, I don't even know what the fuck I would do, honestly. I guess I would be a dirty chick sleeping on the side of the highway. Like, honest, I'm not trying to be funny. That's the reality of the situation out here. I'd probably lose weight a lot faster than I am. And because I would be hungry. You have to have financial means to get into this industry. And why people make it sound like you don't, or just don't even discuss that topic, I don't fucking know. But it's really, really, really important that you know at the academy level, you're going to need money. Because all you have is room and kind of board. If you consider cookies this size, breakfast, then you're going to be set, because they got like 50 of them. And you can't, they watch you like a hawk. Like, don't be trying to think that you can take that shit and sneak up to your room. And they're not very helpful at the hotel. They almost kind of seem annoyed dealing with Swift people. But it is what it is. They have the arrangement with Swift. You go, you do what you got to do, but you have to have money. You have to. Transportation to and from whatever, usually the hotel's near a Walmart. They go to the stores twice a week. You get on the shuttle, they take you, they time you. You got 15 minutes. You got to be in and out. If you fucking miss the bus, oh well, you better figure out how to get there. So you do have transportation to and from a store on those days at that time, and then again you're timed, so you better be in and out. And if you can bring your car, that's the best option. So just wanted to cover that aspect of trucking. Now, The short answer to balancing family life and trucking life, the short answer is there's no such thing as a balance. It's just not a thing. I will say that when my dad and my uncles and everybody, when I was little, all the men in my family, they all drove trucks. We didn't know where they were. We didn't know how to reach them. There actually wasn't a way to reach them. If my mom needed to reach my dad, she would have to call his company, and then the dispatch people would get a CB message out to him, and then he would have to send it back to them, and then they would call my mom, and it was just this whole thing. There was no communication. Now that I'm doing it, I literally just spent hours while I was uploading my GoPro videos. I open up my tablet, my iPad, and I FaceTime each one of my children. And my husband is not Team Apple, so I have to message video him, but I see my family every day via electronics. And I know that it's not the same as being there to cuddle, and I'm not a cuddler, by the way, but some of you may be cuddlers. I'm not a very affectionate, feely, touchy kind of person. So for me, it works. We laugh, we joke, we watch movies together. We set up whatever movie we're gonna watch, we'll order it from Prime or whatever, and I'll have them on a screen, and then I'm watching the same movie at the same time with them. We make it work. I only get to go home, well, when people stop dying and I don't have to go for so many funerals, I only go home 2, maybe 3 days a month. So that's why I say there's no such thing as a balance. I'm an OTR driver. I never know where I'm going to be. I know usually about 2 weeks out because they send me my loads that way, but anything can happen. You don't even want to know the nightmares of wrecks that I saw on 70 coming out here. It's just fucking madness. So, I will say that the first month that I was out here, it took about 2 or 3 weeks before I really started. I don't really get homesick. I've always just maybe I'm not the best person to answer this question. Let me get that out there. I love my family, and when I love people, it's my whole. I'll give them my whole life. I'll lay my life down for them, honestly. But I don't have attachment issues. I don't get homesick, where oh my god, I just really want to go home. I really want to go home, man. I wish I was home. I wonder what they're doing. I don't. My kids, if they were smaller, I would not be doing this. That's point blank. And there's a lot of people that I talk to that are oh, well, your kids are teenagers, but they still need you. Teenagers and parents, for those of you who are parents, if you have teenagers or have had teenagers, you already know. I already have one that's, in her 20s and in the military and living across. So I've already gone through this teenage stage. The further away that I could be, the better. Being at home dealing with teenagers, especially a boy and a girl going through the teen years at the same time, fuck that shit. My husband calls sometimes and he's like, man, I wish I was out there with you. Kids, the truth of parenthood that nobody tells you is kids are fucking assholes sometimes, man. That's the tea. Kids can be assholes. And I went through the asshole phases with them, and I'm a very hands-on parent. Even though I'm not home, I am very, very hands-on because I have means of communication, my phone, my tablet, my Mac, whatever. And I don't whenever I'm driving, of course, I'll talk to them on my headset, or now I've figured out how to do the Bluetooth. My son came on here and helped me. So I talk to them all the time. But if I'm sitting still and they try to pick up the phone and just call me, no, we're going to talk face to face because I'm not there to have that one-on-one interaction with them. So I make them, and they're like, oh, Mom, my hair's not fixed or whatever. I got a pimple, the lame shit that they'd be saying. I don't care. Get your ass on FaceTime. I want to see you. So, coming out into the trucking world, you really have to mentally, this is a mental game. This is a 1000%, it's mental. You can let home affect your job and you will die. I'm probably the first person on YouTube that's going to tell you that, but that's the truth. When my family, when I get those calls, hey, so-and-so's passed away, hey, so-and-so killed themselves, hey, so-and-so's got hours to live. I prefer to know than to park and get all this bad news. But as I've mentioned before, I've dealt with a lot in my life. So it's easier for me to compartmentalize, separate it, keep it moving, and then I deal with it whenever I stop. If you're not a strong-willed person or strong-minded person in real life outside of trucking, if you got that call and you started crying or having an emotional breakdown, or because the people that I've lost, they're like, these are immediate family members, you don't have time to process it right away. And if you are a person that's not in control of your feelings, you can wreck this truck. You can kill people, you can kill yourself, and your family can be burying more than one person. You have to really, really have tough skin out here, and you have to know how to separate personal from business. When you're behind this wheel, that shit can't be in here. It just really can't. It cannot. It's too fucking dangerous. This is one of those jobs where it's best if you don't even get those phone calls. Tell them to, call Swift and let Swift know. And, Swift will figure out a time when you're not driving or something to get the message to you. And that is something that Swift they would love to have received those phone calls, as opposed to you coming down a mountain in the middle of winter in the dead of 6 feet of snow and being told that, your husband or wife just, got into an accident and died, or, your mom or your dad, or God forbid, one of your children. That's not shit that you can process out here. So coming out here, there's so many aspects to separating business life from personal life that you really need to start doing that shit at home. You don't have time to figure it out when you're out here. You try to come out here without spending some time away from home and your family before you get out here, you will crash and burn. Metaphorically speaking, and in real life, you will crash and fucking burn. You don't have time for feelings and family out here. You don't. That's just me. I don't candy coat shit. That's not my game. I'm telling you the truth. This is serious shit. So if you're somebody that gets homesick after a couple of days, like say if you've ever gone on vacation, by yourself, or just think of things that you do by yourself. If you start thinking about home and getting homesick and needing to hear people's voices and shit, like after a couple of days, this is not the job for you. Now, it can be. If you want to drive dedicated, close to home, get a job with like a mom and pop company that's in your area. I would suggest that. You can truck drive and be home every single night. I can't tell you how much money those people make because I don't know any people that drive like that. But I know that it's a thing. Maybe I'll ask my friend. I have a friend who actually drives for a mom and pop company in Houston. I'll ask him how much money he makes, and I'll get some answers for you. I just thought about him just now. He's really a pastry chef, but he's been driving for so many years he said it's too much money and it's too easy. It's too easy to make this money once you get into it and you find your groove, that he just won't give it up. So even though he's a successful pastry chef, he won't leave the trucking world. And I get it. There's too much money out here to be made. But don't let that be the weighing factor on this decision that is literally going to change and alter your life. This is either going to make or break you. I literally just emailed that to a subscriber earlier. Point blank, trucking will make or break you. The decision is yours to make. But there is thousands of variables in making that decision. This isn't something that you're going to decide overnight. This isn't something you should take months to decide if this is something that you want to do, honestly. Your family, the best way I can say is make sure that you have a really good cellular service for connection so that you can talk to them. But if you really feel like, being home 2 or 3 days a month just isn't enough, then you may want to think about doing a regional dedicated close to home kind of gig and not doing OTR. So when I talk about truck driving, as far as my experience, I'm an OTR driver, so that's why I only go home 2 or 3 days a month. And it's a whole thing. Like, I accumulate every 7 days, I accumulate 1 day off. Just because you have days off doesn't mean you could say, well, I don't feel like taking that load today. I'm taking the day off, or I have the flu, or I'm sick, and you don't get to make those decisions. You could call and ask, and I'm not saying that Swift is hard ass and be like, oh, take your 102 fever and get to fucking Florida. Like, I'm pretty sure if you don't know when you're going to get sick, and I haven't been sick, knock on something, for the love of God. I have a suppressed immune system, so I'm doing really good. I'm not saying that Swift is going to tell you, oh, fucking move that shit. But when it comes to taking days off, there's a process. You need to put in a request weeks in advance. Well, I'm talking weeks, at least 2 weeks in advance. And then you got to put, like, where you're going to take it off, how you're going to, like, what you're going to do, all this stuff. Then it has to be approved. Not all requests are approved. And yes, it is your time, technically, but this is how the game works. You don't just get to say, oh, well, I've been on the road for 15 days. I feel like I need a day off. I'm taking the day off. It doesn't fucking work that way. Don't come out here thinking that it does. Yes, you technically have days off that you accumulate, but there's a process to taking advantage of those days off. So, a lot of times, well, I'll just say, in my situation, I don't take days off out here. I save my days, and then I go home 2 or 3 days, and then I come back out, accumulate more days. And right now, since we're going into holiday season, I don't plan on going home at all, probably until mid-November, because I want to accumulate the days so that during Christmas, I'm not a big Thanksgiving person, but Christmas is my gig, so that when Christmas comes, I can take a week off and it's not gonna hurt me. So, and my husband's birthday is on New Year's Day, so I always make it a point to do something for his birthday. So I plan ahead. So I let my family know, hey, I'm not going to be home for a few months, and this is why, and they get it. Now, as far as my family adjusting, my daughter cried every day for like a month. When I go to leave now, she still kind of cries. She's like, gets a little teary-eyed and stuff. But she's been on the truck. She knows what I'm doing. She knows why I'm doing it. And she sees the bigger picture. But, I mean, y'all like me just on YouTube. I mean, to deal with me 24/7, I'm a fucking riot to deal with. Like, I'm a fun person to be with. And that's the part that she misses. She misses her best friend. I'm her best friend, and I am proud of that. And she is my best friend. And, you know, my son is a mama's boy, and he'll kill me when he sees this, but he is. And they do miss me. And I do miss them. But it's just one of those things that you learn to adapt to the absence of somebody when they're not there. And like I tell them, at least I'm not dead. That's the way I talk to y'all, is the way I talk to my kids in real life. Like, I'm not a different person anywhere else. What you see right now, this is what they get as well. And I tell them, at least I'm not dead. Then you'd have to deal with me being gone all the time. So I do always try to find the positives whenever they get down. But they're so used to it now. You know, whenever I call, sometimes they don't even want to have long conversations because they're teenagers. They're living their life. One's in high school, one's in junior high. They're living their best lives. And, you know, they have their friends, their clubs, their sports and all that stuff. Missing those kind of events does suck. This is my son's first year playing high school football. I did get to go to 2 of his games. One, because I happened to be delivering in Houston, so I got to go. And the other one was the week of the funeral, I got to go. So I'm super stoked that I got to go to those. But, you know, my husband records them, or he'll do a live video and I get to watch. I find ways to be there even though I'm not physically there, and that counts. It really does. So I hope that that answers all of those questions. If you're a person that has detachment issues or abandonment issues, or you're worried about leaving your kids, you really do have to think of the bigger picture. You have to. Because if this is something that you're trying to do, you know, because it's a financial thing, you need financial stability in your life, then think about, this is what I would do. I didn't come out here because I need financial capital to build a business. My life doesn't depend on this. So if my life did depend on it, what I personally would do, I would ask myself, do I want to serve my child, you know, hamburger helper 5 or 6, 7 days a week? Or, you know, would I like to be able to, you know, make other meals and do that kind of stuff with my kids, or take my kids out, or plan family vacations? Think about the life that you want to offer your child. That is how I make all of my decisions. All of my decisions are made based on how it's going to affect my children, what solutions do I have for those problems if there are any, and what is the long-term goal? What do I see out there in the future? That is how I make every decision in life as a parent. I'm not saying that's the only way to parent. Nobody, kids don't come with fucking manuals. You learn how to do it along the way. And everybody's journey is going to be different. And every truck driver on YouTube is going to tell you that their way is the right way. I have found the perfect way. If you do this and cut this cone in half and look out this mirror and wiggle your nose and twerk your ears, your truck will magically just go in that. It's bullshit, man. It's fucking nonsense. You're going to find what works for you. As far as coming out here and leaving your family, I would say go on a vacation. Go somewhere away from the people that you're worried about being away from, and see how long it takes you to start. See how you respond to it. If you really just got to know what's going on at home all the time, this is not the gig for you. It's not. It's just not. There is no such thing as a balance between truck driving and family home time. And even being at home, it's just not a thing. The best thing that I can tell you to do is make sure that when you are off, that you make that time for them to do FaceTime or video chat, or however you need to communicate with them. That is what makes this transition easier, and it allows you to continue to provide for your family. You can be there without being there. You just have to be able to put forth the effort, and be willing to put forth the effort, and put your feelings on the back burner. This is about making a lifestyle and creating a lifestyle. It's not about your feelings. You have to take your feelings out of this. This is not a job where you got time for emotions and all of that. This is not one of those jobs. So I hope that this wasn't too harsh. God damn, it was really fucking long though. But again, if you have questions, if there's something that I didn't cover, you know, drop it down below, and I'll try to, you know, get some more specificity on the topic and break it down even further. But this is the meat of the plate. Like, this is the deal. There's no room for emotions out here. And me, you know, the way I dealt with it is, you know, I just always have the mindset, when I get focused on something, I stay on that path until a squirrel or a bird comes by, and then I veer off for a little bit and I come back. But as far as feelings and emotions and missing people and stuff like that, I just don't operate that way. That's not the type of person that I am. I'm very atypical, and I'm in control of everything at all the time, and I'm that chick. I'm an Aries. Somebody called me out on it. I thought that was fucking badass. Yes, I am an Aries, and everything that you're ever going to read about Aries, my face should be right there next to it. So I just don't operate that way. And I would, like I said, my suggestion is, if you do, go on a vacation or something without your kids or without your spouse or whoever it is you're worried about missing. Because if you're already worried about being homesick before you've even taken the first step, that's the first indication that you're going to have a problem. So when you're out here, you're out here. There is no back home. That's, I think, the simplest way I can put it. What goes on in this square, those tires and that pavement and those people out there on the road, those are the people who you need to be more concerned with. You can't think about what's going on back home. You just cannot. You don't have time to be doing that. So I love you all. Thank you all for your love and support and hate. And sorry this is the fucking longest video of all time, but I mean, these are really important questions. I hope I answered it. I hope I didn't ramble too much, and I hope I made sense. If not, you'll tell me about it, and it's cool. I'm gonna go watch a movie with my family. I think I'm still on time. Yes. So I will catch y'all in the next video where I will answer some more questions. So y'all have a good weekend. Peace.